Weekly, GarageBand, GarageBand Weekly, GarageBand Weekly. Ooh. If you need an answer to your question, John, you'll have a suggestion. He's a fountain of all knowledge. I think he might have gone to GarageBand College. What he doesn't know, we'll try and find out. So join the chat and give him a shout. Here's John. Here's John. GarageBand Weekly.
Yes, it's time for GarageBand Weekly here on Studio Live today. My name is Pete Johns, and for the next who knows how long, we'll be mixing and mastering my new song called Sink or Swim here in GarageBand iOS. If you don't believe me, there it is. We're ready to rock and roll. We've got all the tracks. We've got all the decisions to make here around the mix and the master. This is both the most exciting and potentially most nerve-wracking part of any project, where you have to get it done. All the bits where you've been recording and re-recording and questioning things and worrying about things. I'm going to take my own advice and realize that this is fun. This song is pretty close. I released a version on slaps.com just yesterday, and folks have been able to check that one out. If you haven't seen that, it's over here, slaps.com/PeteJohns, so you can actually listen to the last mix. So if you want to pause this before I go in and do my final mix, you can jump on over to slaps.com and check that one out as well. But yeah, today it's going to be all about mixing and mastering. We're going to do it in GarageBand iOS. We're using all free plugins, so all included plugins in GarageBand, and the only things we're using on top of that are going to be 100% free. So if you want to follow along at home, you're going to be able to do everything that I do, because the only plugins I'm using here are stuff you can download yourself and throw in your GarageBand for free. Let's say good day to the folks who are here live. We'll do a quick bit of news and notes, and then we are going to dive headfirst into the ocean of mixing. See what I did there? Because the song's called Sink or Swim. We're going to dive in and start mix. Yeah, I think you get it. Hello to Thomas Christ, our wonderful moderator, is already on the ball there. There's the slaps.com/PeteJohns. G'day to Jade Star, who was responsible for the drums in this song, which kind of made it what it is, just quietly. Aloha to Kiholu Rocks. Hello to you. Bubba. Hello, Bubba. Always a pleasure to see you here in the chat, my friend. G'day to Lou Reality, Fat Panda Cat 79. Ed Z is here. Hello to you. And if there's anyone else I haven't said hello to that I've missed, Robert, hello there. Hope you are doing well. The Falcro, the Mix Club. All you cool cats are ready to go and rock and roll. I got my case of gear here, but I'm actually hoping we don't need it, because I'm going to kind of treat this like someone's given me this project and I need to mix it, because I could spend the first hour going, oh, let's just redo that one guitar part. Let's just redo that one bit of bass. Let's just redo that one vocal. And look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't try and make things the best they can, but at some point in time, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. I am on Facebook. Yes, I'm live to everywhere right now. I'm live to Facebook. I'm live to YouTube. I'm live to Twitch. I'm live to Twitter. I don't know. I just press all the buttons and then go out everywhere. So we're all over the place. All right. So, quick recap. If you haven't been following along at home, this is my song. We've been working on it for 5 weeks now. We wrote the song, we recorded the demo, we then recorded guitars and vocals. Jade did the drums and we brought them in. And now we're at the point where we need to mix it all together. We've got it all there. We're going to do some editing first of all, and then we're going to listen to our mix. We're going to take some mix notes, and then we're going to actually start the mixing process, which shouldn't be too hard, because I use a method called Mix As You Go, MAYG. I don't know, it doesn't really have a good acronym, but I mix as I go along, and I'm not going to go faders down this time around. So I'm not going to turn everything down and start from scratch, because I listened to the mix yesterday, and if I do say so myself, it sounds pretty sick already. So I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel here. I think we just need to make some tweaks that are going to take it from pretty ace to super rad. That's the scale. Me and Thomas Cries, we're trying to bring rad back. What did I hear my daughter say the other day? Sway. Man, no, slay. Man, that's slay. I'm like, slay? As in noun? And she's like, yeah, it kind of means if something's really good, and you're like, wow, yeah, that's slay. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I know what the kids are saying. Yep. Bring it back. We're bringing it back. We're bringing back rad. G'day, Trevor Bear. Hello to you. Hello to NB. Hello to Mark Bro. Hello to Clayton Von Kluge, who was absent yesterday. We finished the Your Music live show with a KVK tune, and he wasn't there. G'day, Audible Video. Hello to Semtex Cow. Hope you're all doing well. After this show, by the way, it is my birthday. I was going to do a birthday stream, but I'm actually going to take the day off and just chill, I reckon. So we might just have a little chat. Once we've got this done, we might have a little chat. But let's jump in here and get on with the show, because this is the track as it is at the moment. So again, we've got all of our Jade Star drums up the top here. We've got our guitars, our bass going through here. We've got our vocals that we comped. So in the last episode, we comped these vocals together into one track. We've got our vocal double in there, doing some good duties there. And we've also got these cool Jade Star backing vocals, which are awesome. We no longer need our dummy track, so we can delete that one out there. Goodbye, dummy track. This is what it sounds like right now. Let's just do a quick sound check and test.
All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me. Have a feel.
There you go. Yeah, sorry, it's a happy birthday tomorrow. So tomorrow is my birthday. And it is my birthday eve, the classic birthday eve. So tomorrow will be my birthday. But like I said, I was going to do an extra show. And then I'm like, why would I do extra work on my birthday? So I'm just going to throw it out there today. Yeah, tomorrow is Party Punk Pete Day. Maybe I'll do a little pre-recorded video to throw that one out. I want to see Pete sing with a mug in his hand the whole time. Yeah, I reckon I could do that. All my life I've worried about the coffee in my mug that I might spill. No? Maybe not. All right, so let's start the process here, and I've got my screen here, so I can show you everything that's going on here. First up, the drums. Let's just come in here and solo out these drums, because Jade did all the work on these. They sound sweet, and I don't really need to do much at all with these, but let's just take a listen, because the one thing I did do is use this like room setting. So I used the overall drum track to create like a drum room sound here. In fact, what I should do is come in here and do a little bit of this action. Boom, 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 and take a listen to just that drum sound. Thank you. Yeah, cheers. Appreciate it. Thank you. Gateway truck. Appreciate you. Yes, I am 44. For those that like me that like palindromic things, I'm 44 tomorrow. Would you believe it? So here's this is the old drum take that I'm just using. So what I've done with this is I've made it swimming in reverb, and I'm just sticking this really low down in the mix, so that when I bring all these other drums in, it just creates like a room sound. How good do those drums sound? Yeah. Sweet. Such a cool bed. We've then got the bass. So the original bass was an absolute train wreck. And I'll say that with all due respect to myself, but it was a bloody train wreck. It kind of just went all over the shop. So we've replaced the bass, and we've now got what I think is a pretty darn cool sounding bass sound. So let's take a listen to the bass with the drums here. Birthday twin. Are you well, see, here's the thing. My birthday's the 1st of March, because it's the 28th of February here. I know it's the 27th of February elsewhere. So I know it gets confusing with stuff around the place. But yeah, I'm a 79 baby, and I'm 44. And on the 1st of March, tomorrow, I'll be 44. Big kid at heart at 48. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I do. I live in the future. But yeah, I just think that because I played bass and then Jade added the drums, and then she gave me the drums back, and I'm like, well, now the bass doesn't do the drums justice. So I played the bass to match the cool kick and snare pattern that Jade put in here. So again, I reckon that sounds pretty darn hot. We've then got our rhythm guitars. So I've got the left and the right rhythms that are kind of the engine room of this song. They're doing this. And you can see there that I've got this one at a higher volume because of the guitar tones I'm using, even though they were recorded at a similar volume, because I'm using two different guitar amps here. And for those that didn't see this, I was playing around with these. I'm just using the power chord, very basic amp sound here in GarageBand. And on this side, I'm using, whoop, that's the bass. The bass, I'm just using this high definition bass, which we've added a little bit to. The other side here, the right-hand side guitar, just for those that are interested, we're using this one, the punk rock vintage stack that looks a little bit like a Marshall, because it is. I love it that GarageBand can't use things like Fender and Marshall, but you know that's what they are. We've then got the rhythm guitar in the center here, which I've cut and pasted, and I was going to re-record it, and then I'm like, it actually sounds fine. So that just gives a little bit of thickness here at the start when we kick in. And then the lead guitar, which is kind of the piece de resistance here, because it does a little lead riff like this. And then we kick into our verses and do our thing there. So that's our sort of guitar basis. We've then got a lead guitar, a second lead guitar that comes in here in later in the verse. Thickens things up a little. Later on, we have our lead guitar solo where the volume is turned up here. So the volume's up higher on the lead solo, and we've actually added a flange to this. So you'll be able to tell me as we go through this how much flange we add or whether if the flange is working, but I think this one does pretty darn well. Maybe a little bit loud. We'll start bringing it down a little bit there. We've then got the final bit here. We've got some extra lead. Some harmonies lead. And then we're going to have vocals. So we've got our lead vocal here and our vocal double. So we'll come back here to our chorus and take a listen to our lead vocal.
Some people won't come back from down below. Oh, what's in the water? And I don't know if I can win.
And we've got our lead vocal double here. Yeah, the Falcon is saying I'm lost. Yeah, look, it's been 5 weeks, so I'm racing through this, but don't worry, we'll stop and pause and listen to the track, and then we'll go through and make any changes that we need to do. So we are moving fast here. Just to give you a quick recap for those that may not have been around at the time. So there's our vocal and our vocal double in there. We've then got a... we've got all... Yeah, so we don't need any of the others there. This was me experimenting with stuff here at the end, which I don't think we really need. But what we do need is these Jade Star backing vocals, because especially in this final verse here, final chorus, sounds amazing.
What's in the water? Nobody knows who's gonna win. So I'm gonna just keep on floating, even though I might sink or swim.
Yeah. So again, it's come together well, and I think we're pretty close to where we need to be, but we just need to go through and maybe make some tweaks now. The first thing that I do at this stage of a project, before I'm about to do all my mixing, is save out a version. Yeah, you know it. By the way, yeah, check the chat there. We are going to master with an automated mastering service with DistroKid's Mixea today. There are other ways to master. I've shown them here on the channel. Just search Pete John's Mastering if you want to see all the other ways. You can master directly in GarageBand. You can master using not Final Touch, but apps like Audio Master Pro, like Grand Finale. There's a heap of different mastering apps. You can do it in GarageBand on your your Mac as well. You can do it in Reaper, I've mastered before here on the channel. You can use things like Lander and eMastered. And you can use Jade Star because she does mastering for her patrons. So there, you've got about 20 different ways to master. So we're moving on. We're up here to version 8 now of our track. So we're going to open up this one, version 8, and we're going to start playing around with it. Now, I've soloed all those tracks, but we're going to come back here and we're going to remove them because we're going to do a little bit of cleaning up, and I'll need to solo each track just to clean it. Now, full disclosure right here, this isn't going to be like a super quick process. You're going to see everything because I deliberately didn't actually do this yet. I've been waiting to do this here on the show. So what I'm going to do is check and clean up any tracks. So your virtual tracks, you don't have to worry about because where there's gaps in a virtual track, there's no noise coming through. But just to make sure that we've got a clean way all the way through, I'm going to come to the start of all these tracks and make sure that we've got as little noise as possible at the front here. So for instance, with this bass, it doesn't hit its first note till there. Now, I don't recommend doing this while you're editing, like while you're recording, because you can make some mistakes here that mean that you move things off the grid and then things move around. So be super careful doing this. But now that we've got this, we can actually remove these bits of unnecessary sound at the start here. So we can just clean these up. I don't bother going right up to it, but you can, so that now when we hit play, because you don't need to be hearing, you don't need to be hearing these guitars in the background before they actually kick in. So take a listen. Cool. And we can do the same down here because this one doesn't need to come in here. Be careful with this though, because if you've got like some pick scrapes or like beer or things that you want to do, you can actually remove things and ruin them if you do that. Now you might have noticed that this one here, because I cut and pasted, it kind of comes to an abrupt halt. So we are going to fix that. We're going to basically tail that off with a bit of automation once we get to the automation part of the mixing process, which we will do soon. We can come up here, and again, you can see these bits where there's nothing going on the guitar. We don't need all that there, so you can just remove that. Have a feel of what might sting and what. And then we're just coming through and we're looking for points where we might need to change things. So here's a slot in between a couple of things. Let's just take a listen here, make sure. Yep, that sounds fine. So that's a good transition between takes there. Now, this bit here, it plays this note. And it stops by about there. Now, the reason that you can't just use your eyes when you're mixing, this is a key point. If I just use my eyes, I'll be like, oh, you know what? That guitar ends there, doesn't it? That's what it looks like. But look what happens. If I split it there and deleted out all this section here because I wanted no noise, check out how this sounds. Ugh, horrible. Horrible, right? So remove that, and you can see that we want that tail. Sometimes you just can't see it. So that's where we want it. And then we want it to, just before the chuggers come back in, that's where we want to split it back in. So you've got to be really careful with your editing that you don't do no harm. Once you get to this phase of a project, the main thing is to do no harm. Don't make it worse by trying to get fancy and doing a bunch of stuff. We'll have a look at this lead guitar because this is probably doing the same thing. We could probably make the same cut. Yep, I reckon it can cut there as well, because we don't need it past there, but we definitely need it up to there. And if you don't do this, does it matter? No, but it just makes things a little cleaner, because you don't need that extra little bits of clicks and pops and background noise. There you go. But once it comes back in there, again, we can split it and bring it back on in. And again, if you don't do this, again, don't stress out. If you don't do this, if you don't have the time or the patience, don't worry. But I wanted to show you this because it will just give you the cleanest possible track. And that's what we're aiming for here. All right. So that's all looking good there. We'll come on down here. These ones seem to be split out nicely. We'll just check these. All right. So again, we've cut that too soon. Whoop, undo. See how I did that? We had too many things there. So we'll... All right. Okay, so there's our problem. We'll need to automate that one as well because obviously originally I started playing a bit. So I'll need to automate that down at the end there, which we'll do afterwards, once we get to the automation. And then we'll just check these transitions through here. All right, we need a little bit more of a tail on that solo there, because although does it go on to play some more? Maybe we'll leave that there, and then again we'll automate that down. A lot of automation that's going to have to happen here, isn't there? Let's check this little transition, make sure that sounds all right. So we've got a problem there, right? We need to make sure that that cut doesn't cut off some of those chugs there. So we'll come in here and we'll check it again. There we go. That's better. So that's the spot you need it. So just these little things that are going to help you out. So this is what I like to call this the tops and tails, because most of the stuff you do is at the start and the end of your track. Now we just need to look for any major gaps. So I can see a gap here on this track. This is our center guitar. We'll just see if it's going to be worthwhile cutting some of this. All right. I kind of like that chunk. So don't get rid of all the... I'm going to keep the chunk because we don't need to get rid of all of the little artifacts. Sometimes the little happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say, are kind of cool. And then that was me just experimenting. So as you can see, this is stuff that does need to come out, because this one doesn't come actually back in until there. So that was going to be creating some extra noise that we didn't need in there. So it's important to get rid of stuff like that. That is Gonski. All right, I think we're pretty good on the guitars. Let's come on down to the vocals. I think we did a pretty good job of these because we comped these vocals last week. But again, we'll just remove anything from the start here that we don't need, like so. And we'll do it on our extra takes as well, just in case we need some of this stuff a little later. Just to clean, squeeze it up. That looking good. We've checked our transitions before, and you can see I've made sure that those cuts are right in between when we did our comping, so that's all good. And now let's just come here. So there's our yeah. So this is the oh yeah. So that's all cool. That sounded good. This guitar we can just bring up a little further, by the way, the solo. All right, and then when we come back in here, again, same with this lead guitar. This can be trimmed a little bit. So you're just trimming the fat here, aren't you? Same with that and same with that. And every time you do an edit, just check it. Just check you haven't actually knocked something off. Hello, Ronald M. Hello from London. Hello, Luke Clay. Thanks for being here. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water. Sweet. All right, that's sounding good. Now let's just come down here to the end and make sure that our tails are looking good. So again, we don't need a lot of that ending, but you don't want to cut it too soon. But I reckon if we just cut it at this bar marker for all of our tracks, that might work, because we want it to have that little reverb tail out there, but... Nice. And we'll just get rid of this end vocal bit. And the same on these guitars, because you can hear those guitars just like hissing a little bit at the end. Just take a listen to this before I trim that off. Just listen to these guitars at the end here. Hear that little hiss at the end? You can leave that there if you want to. If you think it sounds sick, you can leave it. But I think we just need to trim it, because I want this to be a nice clean ending. Right on that last drum hit from Jade, we want it to just finish it. Yeah, and we might even automate the volume down at the end there, so it goes meh, and doesn't even have the delay on the end one. I think so. Alrighty, let's come out of here. We'll save those changes. So that's going to save them in. We won't do another one. We'll just come back in here to version 8 and continue on with this. Yeah, thanks for the pre-birthday wishes, by the way, for everyone from before. If I missed you, I'm sorry. I was kind of multitasking. I should have mentioned that later. Hello, Rita, by the way. Yes, the bass is sounding good. Like, it's a lot better than it was before, for sure. Alrighty, let's find where we're up to here. So I think that's our tops and tails kind of sorted. Jade's already done a fabulous job with her backing vocals doing the splitting, so I don't think we need to touch a thing with those. I'm happy with that. So I think we're pretty clean. I think we're at the point now where we can actually start making any changes that we need to make. So what I'm going to do, we're going to play through. This is how I do my mixing, and your mileage is going to vary. You're going to do different things because everyone's different. No two people are not on fire. No two people are the same. And mixing is like kind of half art form, half science. So yes, you can take tips from people on how to do it, but I actually like to make my own notes, and I highly suggest that you do the same as well. So I've got a blank document over here that simply says mix notes. So I'm going to listen to this entire track, and I'm going to be listening for anything that's standing out to me. And I'm not going to be touching it. This is the key thing. If you listen back and you start twiddling knobs, you'll start doing things and then you'll forget what you've done, and then you won't be sure what's actually going on. So all I'm going to do is stop and listen with my ears, and I'm going to make any mix notes down here. So they can be as simple as vocal too loud, bass too low, add bass to second verse, automate down vocals when I shout yeah. Whatever it happens to be, they're going to go into my mix notes, and then we'll come back in and we'll start playing with it. So if you would like to play along at home, feel free to do the same thing. Just if you've got a notepad, or if you've got your phone, or if you've got your computer, just jot down a few notes and share them in the chat if you'd like to. So what we're going to do now, we're going to cue this song up. I'm going to turn my microphone down so you're only hearing this. Now look, you're hearing it through my mixer, through OBS, and then through YouTube compression. So it's not going to sound exactly as I'm hearing it here. So just keep that in mind, that if you're like, oh, that's it, I'm hearing a little bit of artifacting on the top end of that. Yeah, it might be there, or it might be the actual compression from YouTube. We won't know. So we'll do the best we can with this. But let's you and I take some mix notes and listen to this mix. Let's do it.
All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me. Have a fear of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring. Maybe I'll be safer on the shore, 'cause I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know if I'll sink or swim. Talking heads on the news today, telling me what to think and say. Some people won't come back from down below. On reflection, my memories are always making a fool of me, but I'm learning to ebb and flow with the tide, 'cause I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know if I can win. There might be more under the surface, but it's time to dive in. Oh yeah! Cause I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know if I can win. There might be more under the surface, but it's time to dive in. Nobody knows what's in the water. Nobody knows who's gonna win. So I'm gonna just keep on floating, even though I might sink or swim.
Right on. Boom. Yeah, I think that's pretty sweet. So I've got a few notes that I've made here, and feel free at this point in time to put your notes in, and I will add them too. I also had my buddy Mars Capone, one of our amazing patrons, has also given me a lot of mix notes here because he's a legend and he listened to an earlier mix, so some of it may have already been looked at and corrected or changed. So, but I'll take a look at his mix notes as well. So let's jump over and take a look at what I thought were the things that we need to do up front here first. So I think that we need more of the double vocal in the chorus. So we need to automate up the doubles in the chorus, or add a triple even, potentially. We'll play around with that. I think the vocals, they're just not gritty. Like, I'm not going to re-record them. I think I did okay, like, belting them out, but I think we either need to increase the distortion on there, or maybe I might experiment with Rough Rider 3, because Rough Rider 3, just a little bit of that compressor can really just kind of dirty it up a bit, rub them in the dirt. And by the way, don't be afraid to use words that are going to make you make sense of it. I could say, we need to increase the fuzziness in the bass frequency. Fuzziness isn't even a technical word, but you know what I mean. Like, add a harsh compressor to colorize the sound. No, rub it in the dirt, mate. The cymbals, the crash cymbals, I think are a little treble heavy. Again, not Jade Starr's fault, just the fault of GarageBand cymbals. So I think that we want to play with that and maybe just pull down, just shelve down the top end of those cymbals just so that they're not too tinny. You want them to crash, you want them to hit hard in the treble end, but you don't want them to be too tinny. So we might just find those frequencies and maybe pull those down a little. The oh yeah needs something. Suggest to me what you think you need, what we need on the oh yeah, because I think it's oh yeah, like it. I don't know if it needs an effect or like a like a megaphone effect, or does it need like a stereo effect, or does it just need like some more distortion in there? I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, saturation. Yeah, it's the other thing, which is basically what we'll get from. We can use a saturator plugin. Are there any free saturator plugins? Can we throw just throw Magic Dice on there and see what happens with that? Less reverb on the solo. I think it needs to be more up front. I think at the moment the flanges kind of made it a bit buried, and I've put a stereo widener on there. I don't know. I think it just needs to sit in the middle, sit up the guts, and have a little bit less on it. I think it needs to be the centerpiece of that. Bring up the vocals a little. Backing vocals. Yeah. So Jade's backing vocals. I don't like to have backing vocals too high in the mix, but I think at the moment they're slightly too low in the mix. So I think they need to come up a little bit. And the bass needs more bass, I think. I think so. All right, let's see what you folks have got to say about the mix before we go in and do things. And I'm going to make I've got my John's mix notes here. I'm going to put my community mix notes here. And please don't be offended if I don't do everything that everyone says, because I'm going to have different view on what I want the project to be, and it won't always gel with exactly what you're suggesting. So there. Any suggestion for an audio interface nowadays? Oh, mate, if you buy anything that is a brand name and that's not Behringer, you're fine. Presonus, M-Audio, Focusrite, Steinberg, Yamaha, you name it, Audient. They're all good. That's the thing. I agree with the vocals, some distortion perhaps. Yeah, I think we need to up some distortion on that one. Come on down here. Yeah, some saturation. Yeah, so maybe we just need a little bit of vocal saturation. Again, I am trying to keep it to, and I'll use free plugins, so we'll find ways to get a little saturation for free. Because I think isn't there that new multi-band, maybe we'll play around with that multi-band compressor in GarageBand. That could be fun. Thank you. The only thing I noticed is that the pitchy, maybe we do play around with that. Share. There are a couple of things, and look, again, I don't know whether the imperfection of the word, but I've noticed that as well. I've noticed that that there's a little wavering in a couple of those notes where I was kind of just straining a bit. So maybe if they really start bugging us, we can potentially pull out one of our other vocal takes and see if it's going to be better. Ping pong, echo on the oh yeah might do the trick. Yeah, maybe a little bit of ping pong. Oh yeah. All right. I should be noting these down, shouldn't I? Ping pong on oh yeah. Saturation on Vox which I want to try and get a little bit. We'll just scroll on down. Yeah, +1 saturation or mixer distortion and compression. Yeah, we'll play around with that. My notes are in my head. Yeah, I've got some weird stuff in my head. Thank you, Alan. By the way, I'll tag your question. We'll come back to that as we continue on. And Rena, I think you asked a question earlier as well, which I might have missed as well. Maybe ask that again. Nobody told me there'd be a quiz, right? Let's see if we've got any other notes here. All right, cool. Bitchy vocals or pitchy? bit pitchy dog, maybe. All right, so let's go in and start. I think that's the thing. I know there's a really nice saturation in Mixbox. I'm desperately trying to not use paid plugins, Mark. Otherwise, I'd just go straight to Mixbox and throw it on there, because I want to, after I've done this project, I want to open it up and let people be able to play with it. And I didn't want folks to have to download and buy a $50 plugin just to open the project. So we'll see. So let's start with the vocals, because I think that is the most important thing. Now, the key here is that, as the garbage truck sits outside, the key here is, even though I'm going to listen to this, that's what Rita's suggestion was. Rita's question was around listening on speakers. So I'm listening on speakers here at the moment. I will do another listen through on the headphones. I had actually listened on the headphones beforehand, so I kind of cheated a little bit. So there you go. Saturation tape cassette 2. What a good idea. Yeah, tape cassette 2 is a free one. So maybe we'll play around with that tape cassette 2, because it does. And that's kind of what this needs, doesn't it? It needs kind of that sort of sound. So let's this is our lead vocal.
All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me.
And it might actually have a little bit too much echo and reverb. One of the things that I didn't mention up front that you'll notice, and you'll know this if you've watched my mixing videos before, is I use the master effects here in GarageBand. I use the master effects here in GarageBand like my sends, because you don't have sends and receives here, but I set up, so I've got a quarter note echo and I've got the large hall here on my master echo and master reverb, and I use a little pinch of these. These are like my glue. This is the glue that glues it together, because what I use the reverb for is to put every track here in its own space. So just when you're recording, if you're recording a band in a room, they would all sound like they're in the same space. So by using this whole reverb, it's kind of doing the same sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is actually just reduce those down a little bit so that we have a little bit less.
I have a fear of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring. Maybe I'll be safer on the shore, 'cause I don't know what's in the water.
So I've already got on here, as you'll see here, this already has the compressor, so compressor, tape delay, stereo delay, the overdrive, and some EQ. So I've already got a little bit of compression driving this at around 6,300 hertz. So let's just fiddle with this and make sure that that's actually sitting in the right spot for this, because
I have a fear of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring. Maybe I'll be safer on the shore, 'cause I don't know what's in the water.
Maybe we put the compression on this down a little lower. So I was up here at 63. Maybe we drop that down to about 5 kilohertz so that it's...
And I don't know if I'll...
And it might even have a little bit too much of that. So let's just drop that off, especially if we're going to...
sink or swim.
All right, let's play around with this, because the tape cassette 2 that someone suggested there, and apologies, I couldn't see who it was because they're over on the Facebook. But we'll come in here and we'll go to audio unit extensions, and I should have it installed because I've definitely used it in the past. There it is, tape cassette 2 from KLM Audio. And we won't need a whole heap on here. We've got, what have we got here? Do they actually have one that's designed for vocals? Lo-fi, grandpa's piano. No, maybe gently. Let's start with gently. So this is just adding a little bit of saturation here. It's got a low pass filter. Looks like it's going to add some noise in here. Let's go with it and see what we get out of the box with this plugin.
I have a fear of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring. Maybe I'll be safer on the shore, 'cause I don't know
what's in the water. All right, so it is reducing the volume there. So we may need a little makeup gain on this. We definitely don't. We'll take off the wow and flutter. I don't think we need that part of the tape cassette here. Auto gains on there as well. So we've got a little bit of noise here, low pass, and the saturation. It's at a lower amount. Let's just up the saturation and hear what this really will sound like and what it's actually doing to the sound. I have a fear of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring. Maybe I'll be safer on the shore. That's why it wasn't showing. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water. And I don't know if I'll sink or swim. So that's pretty good. Like, that's the sort of saturation we're looking for, like a tape saturation. Yes, Mixbox has better. I know. Don't worry, I know. Funnily about that, a $50 app has better saturation than a $0 app. Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's just take a listen to it and see what we got here. Worry about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me. Have a fear of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring. Maybe I'll be safer on the shore. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water. And I don't know if I'll sink or swim. Talking heads on the news today, telling me what to think and say. Some people won't come back from down below. On reflection, my memories are always making a fool of me. But I'm learning to... We'll leave it there for now. Again, we can come back and make change. The reason that we saved out our previous version is if we do something that we really don't like and we go, wow, not only did I not do any improvement, I actually harmed that. So we'll leave it there for now. All right. Reload. So, yeah, I think it's in the right ballpark in terms of some sort of saturation on our vocal. Let's move on to the other notes that we had here. So we need more double in the chorus vocal. So we can do that in a couple of ways. We can either automate or we can split out so that we can change the volume for both. I leave automation to the very last thing. So what I'm actually going to do is we're going to commit to this one being our vocal double. So we'll rename this one to vocal, wrong keyboard, vocal DBL, boom, vocal double, and we'll split this one out. So we'll duplicate this track and we'll copy everything from here, tap it and copy it, and then paste it down below. At this point, you've got to be really careful about your paste points because you've got to put things in exactly the right spot. There we go. So that's good. So what we can do now is we can use this to vary the amount of double between the verses and the chorus. So if we play the verse here, so this is our second one here, we'll just turn that down for now. All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me. I have a fear of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring. So what I actually want to do is when we come in here to the chorus. Talking as on the news today, some people hate, 'cause I don't know. So there's our chorus. So what we can do is split out this one, like a soul, and then grab this and split it here as well. Great timing with the mulching outside. How much of that can you hear? Yeah, it's not fun, is it? And I think they're digging up my internet cables too, because the service has just dropped down. They're like, we're gonna ruin your stream, Johns. You can't do a thing about it. You're just a lowly YouTuber and we're big construction workers in high vis. Right, we're going to delete that. And we're going to delete this. I'll jump out in a second, then jump back in, because that usually gives us a little bit better stuff. All right. Here it it's coming back. It's slowly coming. There it is. They've cut through the wire. They've tied it back up and put some blue tack around it, and now they're good. Yeah, the best laid plans. You don't worry about these things because I don't have any control over when the council come and chop down trees. So let's get back to what we're talking about here. What we can do now is when we come into this chorus, we can increase the volume of our double just by using this as our second track. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to rename this as vocal double chorus. Not chorus, but chorus. Chorus. Like so. And then we can increase the volume. Let's take a listen here. On reflection, my memories are always making a fool of me. But I'm learning to ebb and flow with the tide. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water. So you can hear there as it comes into the chorus now, we've got a louder. So we're using this and it's got a higher volume. So let's just see how this sounds in the mix and if it works for what I was trying to do. On reflection, my memories are always making a fool of me. But I'm learning to ebb and flow with the tide. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know if I can win. There might be more under the surface, but it's time to dive in. Oh yeah! Whip, whip, whip. All right, so I'm liking that better. I think, especially in those choruses, the doubled vocal is definitely standing out a little better. So I'm going to make some changes here on my sheet. So over here, sorry, it's like a juggling act here. I've done this a bunch of times, but still not used to doing it. Cymbal, the crash cymbal seems a little treble heavy. Let's explore that, shall we? Oh, wrong button. Come back, iPad. Let's explore that. So, our cymbals, so we've got our hats, and I think the hats were sounding okay from memory. And I'm pretty sure the rides were cool. Yeah, I think they need to be up there. I think it was just these crashes. Okay, that's not actually too bad in isolation. And what about the other crash? Yeah, that's the one that just sounds a little too tinny to me, the second crash. And by the way, thank you again to Jade Star for splitting out the crashes. So we actually have 2 crash cymbals in here. If you missed that one, go check out the drumming episode from a couple ago, because I showed how, well, I didn't show how Jade does it, the behind the scenes, but I showed how we brought him in and had a look at that. So let's come in here and see what we've got on here. So we'll go to our EQ. And we could probably just use some pretty basic visual EQ here to just shelve off this, or we might even want to leave this one all the way up the top here and just kind of find the frequencies and then just give it a little bit of reduction there at the point that we want to. So let's just listen to these cymbals. Where have we got lots of them? Here we've got lots of them, so we can listen to them in isolation. Need to sneeze. Just got the slider down. So we'll just we'll do a little bit of that, because I don't think we need a lot on this. I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know if I can win. There might be more under the surface, but it's time to dive in. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's not that bad. It's not sticking out to me, and yeah, I think it'll be fine. Once I listen to the final mix through, I'll be able to go back and play with that again, because I'll leave all of these notes here. Now the oh yeah needs something, doesn't it? The oh yeah needs to stand out here and do something a bit different. It's a little bit loud to start with, and I think it needs to I don't know what it needs, but let's play with it. So now we've got a few extra tracks to play with. We can. No, we can't. We've run out of tracks. What we can do is we can get rid of these ideas. These are like these. Do you remember last week where we did the do wah 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 ooh la la la, and it just didn't work? It was not necessary, so we can remove those out of there, which will give us room to add an extra track for our oh yeah. And yeah, look, is it annoying that GarageBand doesn't let you do automation of anything except for volume, meaning you're kind of stuck with having to create another track every time you want to do something like this? Yeah, it really is. We'll select that one and bring it on down. Bring it on down. So let's. Oh yeah! So we can turn the volume down. Oh yeah! Pitch shift the oh yeah down 2 octaves so it sounds like a cow. I mean, it's yeah. Oh, there's something there, isn't there? Maybe it needs to have. No, I don't know. It definitely needs to have something. What did Mark suggest? Ping pong delay. There is actually a cool delay on here now. What can we do here? Let's remove the overdrive on this because. And we'll add in one of these new delays that Apple added recently. They recently updated their AU delay, and it now actually has some cool stuff. Like it does have a ping pong feature. So let's see if I can remember how to use it. That's going to be the challenge. It's over here, isn't it? There it is. There's the ping pong. So you can actually set it up to put the timing here and make it jump around. So let's just go really nuts. We'll do it like half a second. And all right, make it super wet, and let's just listen to our oh yeah here. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So we don't probably want that, and we might actually want it a little bit quicker. Like you might want like a more of a slapbacky kind of ping pong. A little bit subtler, a little bit less on the dry wet there. Let's see. That one's not bad. And the unfortunate thing with this is, for all the things it does have here... Oh, let's change it again. That's a bit weird. What has it done now? Oh no, the interface is broken. Apple did not spend a lot of time playing around with that. Yeah, you should replace it with a yeah girl. Yeah girl. Let's try a little bit longer, shall we? Something like that. Something like that. But we need it a little louder now because we don't have that distortion there. So just to... I like the idea of a little ping pong delay. Oh yeah. It's got a little bit too much. Look at this. Apple, spend more time on your interface. Every time I reopen it, it reverts to this and I can't adjust them. It goes back to that way around and loses the one that I'd set it with before. Anyway. I need to work. Does anyone know their timing numbers? Because I'm at a tempo of 166. What should my... How many seconds is a quarter note of a 160? Does anyone want to do the sums for me, or go online to a converter? What timing should this be? The delay time in seconds for a quarter note of a 166. Yeah, I don't know if you could tell me that. You reckon just all the distortion? Maybe we actually do that. Maybe we up the distortion. Let's just maybe we could do that with tape cassette. Maybe we just make it like really saturated. And don't put the high pass on there and add a bunch of noise. Remember, gotta have fun, folks. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, put the yeah symbol on a separate channel, so just the yeah. That's a good point. That's a really good point, Tom. All right, let's try that. Because you only want, it's punk. It's like, you got to get the delay, lay, on the very last word. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right, because it should just be, oh, yeah. Let's try it. We're getting awfully complicated here. I told you we'd get into the weeds on this one, didn't I? Didn't I? All right, so we'll do that. And then if we turn off the delay on that one and just have it on the second one, let's see what this does. That's so much better already. It's got that punk on the very last word thing. Just need a little kajigger, that one. Just so that's only getting that one. Let's see. I like it. Come on, it's fun. Isn't punk supposed to be fun? I'm pretty happy with that. All right. Now that we've got complications of way more tracks than we really need to have, yeah, we're going to simplify things, and now we've complicated things. What else did we need in here? We needed the backing vocals to come up, didn't we? We need more Jade Star. Some people tell me, you know what, we need less Jade Star. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. We need more. So we've got these Jade vocals panned hard left and hard right, and just to re-familiarize yourself with these, they sound like this. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know if I'll sink or swim. See, it's so good. I tried backing vocals, and Jade already nailed it so much that I didn't need to do that. So we need to increase these, not by a heap, but just by a little. So we'll just bring these up a little in the mix, and we may even need to automate them up in the final section as we bring it back. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water. Yeah, that's better. And I don't know if I'll sink or swim. Talking heads on the news today, telling me what to say. 'Cause I don't know what's in the water. Sensation. And I don't know if I can win. There might be more under the surface, but it's time to dive in. Oh yeah. All right. Alan's done the maths for us. 166 is a 0.36 seconds on our delay. So let's add that in here. I don't know. Sometimes it does sound better to be slightly off the beat with your delays anyway, but I did want to experiment with this. So we'll see what we've got it at. We've got it at 0.55 at the moment, which is why it's sort of just slightly off the beat. If we, again, thank you, GarageBand. If we bring this here and we instead make it the, oh, come on, got to grab it. Make it the stereo delay, and what was it? 0.36. So we'll bring this on down to 0.36. Oh, it makes it really easy, doesn't it, to do small changes. Oh, can't get exactly. There we go. So it's on 0.36 now. Let's see what this sounds like when it's right on the beat. All right. Oh yeah. The thing is, the reason it doesn't sound on the beat is because it's like it's not actually hitting right on the beat because it's kind of a bit sloppy. So I don't know. We'll leave it with that at the moment, but we can come back and change it to the slightly longer delay once we listen to it all in context in the mix and rock it out to it. So let's come to this final chorus, because I do think that maybe we need a little more of these Jade Star vocals in this final chorus. Let's take a listen. 'Cause I don't know. And I don't know if I can win. There might be more under the surface, but it's time to dive in. Nobody knows what's in the water. Nobody knows who What is that fuzz? Is that the tape hiss from my vocal? Is that what was fuzzing towards the end there? That was a bit weird. Have I broken it badly? Let's just play this. That's so weird. Is it the one that I put all the distortion on down here maybe? Is it this one here? It is. It's all the noise. Why is it playing the noise when it's not? That's what happens when you use a tape hiss app. I know, which I'm fine with for the bit where it's actually playing something, but does that mean I need to automate the volume to 0 when it's not being used? That's a bit weird. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's what it's all about, isn't it? Because it's supposed to have tape hiss all the time. It is. But yeah, look, I do want to use it because I did sound good. Yeah, exactly. The tape doesn't stop playing the noise. Oh man, there's a setting in tape control to stop the constant noise. All right, let's let's try this setting. So saturation low pass noise. Look, I'm just going to remove the noise because we don't actually need the tape noise. We just wanted the saturation, so I'm just going to cheat and remove the noise, and then we should be we're better. Yeah. Yeah. We don't need the noise. All right, because we didn't actually want noise. We just wanted saturation. But I'm just like, oh, I'll just put a little bit of tape hiss on there. It's like. Alrighty. Oh man, I have a ball doing this stuff. Can you tell? Can you tell it's fun times? I know it's not the most efficient process of all time, but man, is it good. It's enjoyable. All right, so we've played with the oh yeah. Oh yeah. Played with the oh yeah. We've got the saturation on the Vox. We've ping-ponged the oh yeah as well, which I kind of like. Let's reverb. Let's look at this guitar solo, shall we? We need a little less reverb on the guitar solo. I've done the tape noise with some water splashing. Oh, that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Oh, man. Let's see. Where's that solo? There it is, lead guitar solo. So, what do you reckon, folks? What does this need? Oh, yeah! So turning the reverb down, I like the delay on there. I like the quarter note delay, but I've turned the reverb down a bunch. I'm just going to give it a little less delay, and this should make it a little bit more upfront, which is what I wanted. I don't know what's in the water. Yeah, I reckon that's the ballpark. The vocals are now too loud because that noise, that tape hiss, must have been reducing the volume a bit. A little louder in the mix like that. I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know. Yeah, I reckon that's better. All right, so let's reverb on the solo. It needs to be more up front. It now is. We've done the backing vocals, which I needed to turn up a little, and the bass. The bass needs more bass, I've said here. I didn't quite know what I meant there, but we might need to just tweak, because I haven't played too much with the bass amp settings. So let's just come over here to our bass, and you know what I'm going to do? Get rid of that old bass. You're bugging me, old bass, and Oh, the treble was up all the way. So the treble on the EQ on this was up all the way. So I reckon just rolling off that treble would be cool. By the way, don't you think that I should do a t-shirt that's like a picture of a tape saturation plugin, and it's got like noise turned all the way up to 11, and then it's a picture of me like this going, why is there hiss? That's going to be the next t-shirt, next Studio Live Today t-shirt. Why is there a snake in my mix? I'm going to see what AI decides that image will look like. That could be a fun image for a future album cover. Yeah, I think that the bass sounds, it's good. I just needed a little bit more of the bass and the less of that. Maybe switch compression from soft to hard. Yeah, let's try that. I reckon it sits best like that. There we go. All right, let's bring it back into the mix. I'm too tired. Oh yeah. You can just hear it kind of, that little extra compression and a little bit less treble, but still coming through enough. I think it's sitting nicely with the kick drum. You'd buy one. I do need to update the merch, so maybe there's something like that that's going to happen. Oh, it's not a very good picture. Why is there a snake in my mix? It didn't come up with a good picture in my GarageBand mix. I'm going to try that next. All right. Yeah, it does punch through a lot better. All right. Now, I'm not going to ignore all of Mars Capone's advice, but let's see what he had to say. Let's see someone who listened to an early mix of this, one of our wonderful Patreons. Let's see what he had to say about this mix. So, came together nicely overall. Rhythm guitar sound bloody tits, mate. Changed drums added a lot, turned out great. Sure did. Love the variations on the last chorus. Probably could be doubled in falsetto. Yeah, like I think I missed an option there because I do think that we could have a bit more screaming and loudness in the end there. Could be my headphones, just listening on Sony's, but the bass seems a little thin. Hey, needs EQ to stand out, much more volume. There you go. There you go. See, we did that. You were correct. Can't help but ride the Fred theme of the opening bars. Maybe find another way to phrase that. Yeah. How cool would it be if I buried that riff, like the actual Rembrandt song, somewhere in there? Or I do a remix. Oh, I could do a remix mashup. Yeah, I hear you. It is a bit Friends riff, but it might be a little bit too late in the bit to do that. All right. You can ask for questions. Oh, by the way, keep asking questions. I'm tagging them because at the end we're going to do a little Q&A. So do hang around. In between times, we'll do the mixing and then we're doing some mastering. And then we'll have some time for a little Q&A. But in short, I use StreamYard and OBS, a combination thereof, to make everything play nicely. First chorus needs to end sharply. True moment of silence for all instruments. Yeah, and Vox too nice for punk. Yeah, not necessarily painfully screaming, but more. Yep, I think we've done most of the stuff that Mars suggested there as well. But I agree that there's probably a little bit of cleaning up to do in the bit where where it stops. Originally, it was a complete stop, but Jay did some killer drums for the in-between part that made it not a complete stop, which I don't hate, but I think everything else maybe needs to stop there. So let's just listen to what he's talking about here. Talking as on the news today, telling me what you think and say. Oh, there is a complete stop, but it's me that was keeping. There was one guitar that's wailing through that bit, so maybe we need to address that. Let's see. Talking as on the news today, talking as on the news. So it's this guitar here that's going through there. So maybe let's just see what happens if we stop it with that. That wasn't the one. It was this one down here. It was actually both, I'd say. Let's bring them both back to there, and let's just see what it would be like if it actually stops, because I kind of like that suggestion.
Talking as on the news today, telling me what to think and...
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, Jade had to compensate the stop to your guitar. Yeah, and that was in the second one. So I was getting confused because there was a double stop, but I think this one, because you did a cool drum fill for the second stop, but I think this one could actually work.
What's in the water? And I don't know if I'll sink or swim. Talking as on the news today, telling me what to think and say. Some people won't come back from down below. On reflection, my memories are always making a fool of me. But I'm learning to ebb and flow with the tide.
What do you reckon? I think Mars is onto something there. I think instead of... The bass still does a little B-roll. In fact, let's just see if we can remove the little bass slide there as well and see if it can be completely a stop. Because if we just cut this bass... And remember, non-destructive editing means that we can do this and it'll come back to life. All we need to do to bring it back to life is grab these points and move them again. But let's just completely stop it.
Talking as on the news too.
I don't know now. I don't know. What do you think?
If I'll sink or swim. Talking as on the news too.
It actually sounds a bit too abrupt now. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Did it sound better when it just had that little bit of lead guitar like flowing through instead? I don't know. I think because I played it that way the first time. Yeah, the stop does have a nice impact. Definitely needs the bass. So let's bring the bass back because I don't think that worked. So it definitely needs the bass to come back.
Talking as on the news today.
It does sound more punk, but yeah, it's not 100% working for me either. I don't know. We'll leave it there for now for our second full listen through, and then we'll make a decision.
And I don't know if I'll sink or swim. Talking as on the news today, telling me what to think and say. Some people won't come back from down below. On reflection, my memories are always making...
You know what it's missing? When it comes back in, it's missing... It needs like these chugging guitars, doesn't it? It needs like a... It needs...
On reflection, my memories are always...
It needs that. So it needs this lead guitar to come back in doing that for the first part. I've got two of them doing it, so maybe I just bring the one in there. Let's experiment. Let's try this now. This is what it's all about, folks. This is your mixing. I'm just going to split that there, just so that I can bring it right in on the spot. And I'll just bring a little bit. By the way, if you're ever doing this sort of thing, you can just split it like this and bring in a couple of bars, because it'll bring everything else as well. So we can just copy this and put it over here and put it right on that bar there. Because I think it just sounds a bit thin, like when it comes back in.
News today, telling me what to think and say. Some people won't come back from down below. On reflection, my memories are...
I reckon that's better. I reckon that's better. All right, let's play through this again with this, because I think the guitar sounded too thin when it came back in.
I don't know if I'll sink or swim. Talking as on the news today, telling me what to think and say. Some people won't come back from down below. On reflection, my memories are always making a fool of me. But I'm learning to ebb and flow with the tide. 'Cause I don't know what...
I think that's better. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. It's almost missing a guitar that's doing like an octave up there, isn't it? do we just use the pitch plugin and make it an octave up? No, we won't do that. Maybe we can steal some lead guitar from a later part. In fact, is there a lead guitar down here that does like a thing that goes along with the... That's the chorus, though, isn't it? Is that what we need there? I think that's what we need there, isn't it? Yeah, then we need it to play its ching 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 ching. That high octave lead guitar part. I think that's what's missing there. If it's gonna completely cut, it needs to come back in with some guts. So let's bring this bit down here. We'll fly it on down and plop it back in here. Because that should then bring it back in here.
Talking as on the news today, telling me what you think and say. Some people won't come back from down below. On reflection, my memories are always making a fool of me.
Yeah, that's the problem, because it kind of builds up there. I should replay it, shouldn't I? I'm just going to delete that for now. We'll listen through the whole way again. We'll go. You can't watch. Is that because I'm ruining things, or because you can't see the screen? Let's listen through the whole thing again, and we'll see. We might need to just revert. We might need to revert again. Let's take a listen. Maybe it goes back to completely what it was before, but that's okay, because guess what? Unlimited retries. All right, I'm turning my mic down, and we're going to listen to this together, and we're going to enjoy. We're going to take the pain of it all together.
All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me. Have a view of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring. Maybe I'll be safer on the shore, 'cause I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know if I'll sink or swim. Talking as I'm the news today, telling me what you think and say. Some people won't come back from down below.
I'm talking to myself. That's the problem when I turn the mic down. I forget that I've turned the mic down, and then when I come back, it's not there. Oh, nice. All right. I think the bass in the stop there works well. I think those lead guitars do need to be turned. I think Mascarpone was right, so I think it works well. Here's a question now. I was listening to that and I'm like, that kind of rocks. Yeah, I did pull a hippie, didn't I? Yeah, 2. Everyone put 2 in the chat real quick. Pete goofed. Boom. Do I spend time now? Because what I would normally do now is go in and do some I talked about the automation stuff I needed to do before. How much time do you think I need to spend on that? Or do I take the advice of all of you fine folks and keep it simple? I don't know. That's what I mean, Mark. It's that. Yeah. I know. Yeah, the false tempo change was perfect. That worked really, really well. So I'll show you. I think there was one spot where I really needed to, where I brought in that repurposed guitar part. So I just want to make sure that I've done the automation on that one. But I think apart from that, I might do exactly what Lita says here: is put down the door and walk away slowly. Oh man, I'm hungry. I might get a Rebel Whopper today. Man, those things are they shouldn't be good, but they are. They just taste like meat. All right. Let's go. Now, where was the bit? So I'm getting ear fatigue. So once you get to this point, you do need to step away pretty soon. So with this one, so what I wanted to do is automate. So I'll do at least this one, and I'll show you the principle. And then if I do want to come back later and do a little bit more pedanticness, I will. But what I'll generally do with this is, so you don't get that immediate stop there, is I'll put a couple of points here, and I'll just roll this off just to drop it down like that. Now, do we use this guitar track again in the future? We do, so we need to bring it back up again. Whoop, don't do that. Undo, 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 undo. All right, so we can then just bring it back like that and back up to the level that it was at before, which is at what level? Turn that off, which is at minus 8.6 dB. Round about there. That's about right. Close enough. All right, so what this is going to do, so it's still a bit abrupt, but when you listen to it in the mix, it actually doesn't matter.
All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me. All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me. Have a view of what might sing and what those circulations.
There we go. Question about mixing down GarageBand. Yeah, I'll answer that as well. We're going to do some Q&A at the end here after we've done a little playing with some mastering. But yes, I'm more than happy to answer that for you in a jiffy. All right. Let's, because I know it is GarageBand Weekly, and I normally do questions, and the last sort of few weeks I've been neglecting you poor folks with questions. But yeah, I wanted to get this song done. Let's hit the save button, shall we? And come on back in. But yeah, so I'll just answer it now. GarageBand and MP3, just search Pete John's GarageBand MP3. There's a video there. There's a couple of apps that you can use, either Voice Record Pro, Voice Record 7 Pro is one of the apps, and the other one is File Converter. They can take you from WAV to MP3. If you just need M4A, when you export, just export as an M4A directly from GarageBand. I'll show you how to do that in a jiffy, because I'm about to export it to WAV, which is what we're about to do here on this particular track. So I'm just going to go with it. It's punk. It's good enough for punk, right? So I'm just going to export this track now. We'll find some things as we go through, but I've got a couple of days that I'm going to be playing around with this and doing the final tweak. So if you are watching on the replay, first of all, good job. You've got through an hour and a half of me trying different things, but hopefully you've got a bit of inspiration. Maybe you've learned a thing or two. You've learned that a plugin that has tape hiss, puts hiss on your tracks, which I think it still does have some. Okay, it's not too bad now. I think we've got rid of most of it. So what we need to do from here is actually export this track. Now, I have this track down here, which is my very loud noise, and you can see it's turned up to the max. I've showed this before, so I won't show it specifically here. This is here for a reason, because this is going to make our export be easier to master. So I've already used the FX trick here, where we've used the FX volume here, and we've turned that down by like 10 dB there, and I've got this loud noise here. So this is tricking GarageBand into thinking that this noise is loud, and if it's going to auto-normalize, which it will, then you need to auto-normalize this as the louder sound, which means once we cut it out, everything else will be at a lower volume. So let's see if this basic setup that I have here is going to work for us straight up off the bat. So we'll make sure that that track is on, which it is. Excuse me. We'll come out here and let's export this sucker. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there, folks. So we're going to share this. I'm going to share it as a song. So for our friend who was asking about this is where you can do this. If you select high quality or highest quality, those are going to be M4A files. If you're exporting a track here to master or to release, highly recommend you use uncompressed wave 44.1 24-bit. And we're going to hit share. And then we're going to come on down here and we're going to do open in. So I always export and do open in. I just find it works better and you don't have as many errors because I open in and then I send it straight to audio share. Now, if you don't have audio share, go buy audio share. It's like $3. Seriously. It is the Swiss Army knife of audio tools on your iPad or your iPhone. But if you don't have it, you can use this exact same process and then just go save to files. But we're going to need to trim it, and the easiest place to trim it, I find, is audio share. So if you don't have audio share, you'll then need to reopen that file in something else and trim it and then master it anyway. So you might as well have audio share because it does it all for you. So we'll wait for this. Let's see. We're just waiting. See, because we've got so many tracks now and we've done so much so much processing on these, it's going to take a little while to go through this. Waiting for the export. Is there anything else I can talk about while we're waiting for this? So what we are going to use in this is Mixea, which is DistroKid's mastering platform. Now, I've only just started using it. Full disclosure, DistroKid are a sponsor of this channel, and they do sponsor my weekly Your Music live show. Some folks love automated mastering. Some folks don't. Your mileage may vary. If you're not going to master at all, or you're going to choose to use an automated service, I would suggest this one because others like Lander and eMastered, pretty pricey. You tend to pay either a subscription fee ongoing anyway, or you pay by the master. Yes, it's the same for DistroKid. It's $99 a year for an unlimited amount of masters. But yeah, it is an automated process that will make your tracks sound the best they can. So we're going to push this out to audio share. It's going to open it in audio share. And yeah, look, it's not. It's still got, because we've got some really loud points here, it's still got some points that are going almost all the way up to 0 dB here. Nobody knows who's gonna win. So we're probably going to need to try and turn this down a little more by using the FX hack to turn our overall volume. Because we've gone and we've added a bunch of stuff, we probably need to do that. So we'll just try one more. I promise I won't do this 100 times because you don't need to sit here and watch that. But all we need to do here to try and get this at a lower level is come in here and play with this. So if we come in here to this FX and this visual EQ, let's just turn this down to minus 15 dB and just see if we can get a skerrick more headroom when we export this one. So we're going to export this, we're going to tap and hold, and we're going to share it out. Yeah, by the way, folks that are chatting about developers, look, like everything, there's some developers are amazing and some developers aren't. But at the end of the day, look, I'm using free stuff here and I'm using GarageBand. Doesn't mean I don't support developers and that people shouldn't be able to use their skills and abilities to earn a living doing cool things that are going to help people make music. At the end of the day, it's why DistroKid costs money to release your music. It's why Mixea is $99 a year for unlimited mastering. It's why if you want Jade Starr to help you with mastering, you need to join her Patreon. Because we all need to keep the lights on. So, yeah. And look for the person. That's what I always say here. Look for the person behind the stuff as opposed to the corporation or the company. I think you'll find that independent folks, where you can actually see the person, you're going to have a better experience generally than you are if it's a big faceless corporation, because they will tend to focus more on the money side of things in a negative way, in a gouging way. Whereas, you know what, got no problem with an app developer making good stuff that's going to put it out there for $5. I'm going to pay $5 for something cool. And look, I'm in the position where I do get apps for free. So you might be saying, John, you're a hypocrite. You get all your apps for free. Yes, sometimes I do, but quite often, if it's a really good app and a great developer, I'll just buy it. I'll pay for it because they deserve that. And yeah, so look for the person, I say, the person behind the thing. And the cool thing about these days is I wouldn't be allowed to do this on TV in even 10 years ago, but especially 20 years ago. No one's going to be able to watch me do this because I wouldn't have been selected by the corporations or the companies to do this. No one's going to put this mug on TV. So don't mean to be self-deprecating, but it's just reality. Whereas I can do this because we have the freedom and we have the ability to be independent and do the things. So that all being said, let's come out in here and see if we... There we go. So you can see there that just turning that volume up a little bit has given us all this extra headroom. So the beauty of this is that we've now got a smaller waveform so that when we throw this into the mastering platform, it's got headroom. When it adds its compression and adds its limiting, it's got some headroom. Now, maybe it's got a little bit too much there now. Maybe I need to tweak it again.
Talking as on the news today.
I'm very sorry. That was that bit that I didn't want to play to you. All right. Let's come down here.
Into my water I cannot see.
So this might be a good experiment, actually.
On the shore.
This might be a good experiment. Yeah, I reckon that's about the right amount of headroom. Yeah, see, Jade does mastering, so she uses AudioShare to bring in her stuff all the time. But what I'll... Yeah, sorry for that. I didn't mean to do that. We'll put both of these. So we'll trim both of these and we'll put them both into Mixea and we'll see what they come out at the end. Because it could be interesting to see if you give this platform something with not much headroom or something with a heap, then yeah, we'll see how well it does. All right, so let's go to our tools. We need to trim and fade. In fact, let's just name these so that we remember what they are. So we'll come in here and we will tap and hold and rename, because this is going to be SOS, low volume. We'll just call it low volume. I'll remember what that means. And this one is going to be, oh, that's the wrong one. It's this one here, isn't it? This one's going to be tap and hold, rename. Seriously, go by AudioShare. If you haven't already. Again, speaking of good developers, AudioShare is made by, I cannot remember the bloke's name, or the company. Does AUM as well. Jade, Thomas, someone will help us out. So we've got both of these here. We need to trim these now. So we'll go to our tools, we'll go to trim and fade, because we need to get rid of the scary bit at the start. And by the way, when you're doing your trimming and fading, you can hold, if you rest it for a second, it'll take you in like that. And what I tend to find is you want a little bit of gap at the front there, and then at the back here, you want a little gap as well. Just so that you've got a little bit to... So if you just hold down again, you can have that, and then you can line it up and release it. So now if you hit this yellow button, it'll take you back to the start. And now if you hit play, you'll be able to hear the amount of delay in before the song starts. See, that's too much. So we want a little bit less than that. So again, we can tap and hold and bring it in. Chimatica, thank you. That's who it is. So we'll maybe just give us a bit. You don't want it right up against it. You want maybe half a second. That's about perfect, because the reason you want that half a second is that when it's played on somewhere like Spotify or Apple Music, when someone hits play, it doesn't just play, it ramps in. Have you ever noticed that? It ramps in for about a quarter of a second. So it goes from like 0, and if your track starts at the very start of the track, you'll find that your song fades in, which is not what you want. I want this song to hit with that Friends riff straight away. So we'll save this one in. It'll save a trimmed version of this that we can use. And then we want our high volume one here as well. We'll just so that we've got some comparison to do here, so you can see and maybe hopefully hear the benefit of doing this. And we definitely don't want to normalize, by the way. Don't normalize your mixes here. You want the opposite of that. So we'll bring that to the start there. Hit the yellow button. That's probably a little too close. Tap and hold. Give it a little extra room to breathe. There you go. And then bring the end here and make sure we got enough tail out there with the final end, and hit the play button on that. We got way too much tail. Because it's got that hiss. I don't know where that hiss came from, but I don't care at this point. It's punk, man. All right, let's go. Let's try and play the end there. It's cool. I could just say that it was recorded on tape way back in the day, man. It's actually legit. All right, let's trim that. So now we've got two delicious trimmed versions. Yeah, I definitely think that this one's going to be the better version to bring in there. So I'm going to do this on desktop. You can do it on your iPad, but it's just going to be easier for me to bring the files across to my Mac and use it there. So you can actually do this if you want to on your iPad. Just go into any of your browsers and go into desktop mode and do it from there. Should we, you know what, should I not be lazy? Should I not be a lazy bugger? And shall I actually try and do it on iPad? Why not? Let's do this thing. All right, I'm just going to close off on everything I've got open here. And we will go into my Google Chrome. I'll just make sure I don't have anything nefarious opened in the background. Because it'll be interesting to see whether we can actually do this. I say you can, but I haven't actually tested it before. So we'll go to distrokid.com on here, and I'll just sign in here in the background so that I don't share any of that stuff. Use my face. Yep, use my face. Log in. Come on. Come on. Make sure I'm in my right account, which I seem to be. And then let's jump on across here and we'll do it right here on the iPad, because why not? So the one thing you'll need to keep in mind if you're doing this is make sure you come up here, and if it doesn't work, I'll try it in the mobile site because it seems to look okay, but you can click on request desktop site. So if this doesn't work, that's what I'll be doing to make sure it works. Yes, close those other tabs. No, they're in incognito mode, man. So we're going to master a track with Mixea, and we can come in here. We should be able to, again, tap on there. There you go. So it's going to open it up. Go to audio share where we've just saved these in. And if you do this is a tip, if you do this by date, it'll put your most recent ones right up the top there. Just makes it easier to do. Let's go with this low one first, because I reckon that's going to be the one to go. And there you go. So it is uploading. It is working. Sometimes, if you get to this phase, you know you're pretty good. Yeah. Because this is the bit that when you're releasing a song with DistroKid, the actual uploading of the file, if you've ever done it and it hasn't worked, it does this thing where it goes and it goes like the whole way through, and then yeah, it's not good. It ain't no good. Yes, I don't need to press X on any of the tabs because I won't say I'm sweet and innocent, but let's just say if there's anything that I want to do that shouldn't be seen by the general public, it's not done on my work iPad. All right, so it's generating our mastering source file now. It's getting all saucy, and it's going to do this. And once it's done, we'll have the ability to play around with this and decide. The Mixea it's pretty simple. Similar to Lander and eMastered, it has 3 different levels of intensity, low, medium, and high, and it has 5 levels of EQ. Everything from super kind of low and sludgy. What do they call it? I can't remember. We'll find out in a sec. It'll tell us the names. But treble heavy and bass heavy. So basically, you've got EQ and you've got the other thing as well. Come on. Preparing your preview. I do like that everything's under the DistroKid banner now. Like everything I do in here now. Like I use DistroPick. I don't use DistroVid yet. I know Jade Starr's done a DistroVid distribution. But I do... I use DistroPick for my album artwork. Now I can use Mixea for mastering. Yeah, it's all just there. And slaps.com and the old wheel of playlists. There's lots of fun things. You can have a good old time. So you don't need any of those other sites. You can just get your jollies in DistroKid. I'm sure they'd love me saying that. They're like, Johns, did you just say you get your jollies in DistroKid? Making myself cough and choke. So here's your platform. Here's your mixer and what we can do here. So we can hear the original and it'll give you a waveform thing. So original and mastered there. So there's our original, there's our mastered. And as you change the sliders here, you can see it'll actually change. So if you go high intensity, it goes sausage. If you go low intensity, it leaves it kind of similar to that. And then it won't actually change. Oh, it does change much there, does it? Brighter versus warmer? Yeah, okay. So warmer, obviously, with the bass frequencies, because bass is louder, makes it louder overall. So if you wanted to be the biggest sausage in the world, you'd go warmer and high. There. All right, so we'll start in the middle, because that's a very good place to start. So you can listen to the tracks here. So we'll listen to the original version. Sounds like this. And we want to listen to their basic mastering. It's going to sound like this. Now I've realized that because I've been using a non-mastered one, my volume, I've got to reduce my volume here on my mixer because I wanted you guys to be able to hear it properly. So I've actually got it now that will be clipping. It'll be coming through that. So yeah, DistroKids. Don't go making DistroKids.
All my life I've worried about the things in the water I cannot see. Got this panic washing over me.
OG.
Have a view of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring.
Now, keep in mind, this is where mastering gets a little tricky, and those that have done mastering before will know this, but if you are mastering a song, it will sound louder, and louder in our ear holes often sounds gooder. And unfortunately, it can be really hard to do A-B comparisons because what I would actually have to do is ride the slider. So even though you listen to the original, it sounds really quiet now compared to the mastered. So it actually adds volume when you're mastering something. So what I would really have to do is turn my volume up on the original so it sounds like this. And then compare it to this version with the volume lower. So what I've already found with this is that I'm pretty sure I'll be mastering with the low intensity setting. The high intensity, it's kind of nuts. Let's take a listen to it. Prepare for this one, folks. This is with the high intensity and with the medium EQ.
Today, telling me what you think and say. Some people won't come back from down below.
So it's not as bad as you'd think, but if you then go with like a really warm sound, it's going to sound super bassy and super hyped. So if you wanted something super sludgy and shoegazy, you might go with that. I probably don't want it as bright as this thing. So I would probably actually want it somewhere in between. So maybe a bit on the brighter side. So if I was going to master this, which I am eventually, maybe I'd put it around about this mark. Or that might even be a bit too bright. So maybe we do put it literally right in the middle. The other thing I've noticed here is using it on, because of iOS's exceptional audio handling, every time you change between these two, it kind of clicks and glitches a little bit. It doesn't do that on the desktop version, but that's not this platform. That's iOS and their audio engine. So, yeah. So that's, yeah, exactly as Thomas Christ has just said, maybe the lowest intensity and one click brighter. is what I'm thinking as well. So we'll try a couple of versions because we can download this once you've got the unlimited version here. You can trial and error to your heart's content. You'll be completely paralyzed with decisions. You'll have analysis paralysis. No, you'll work out what works for you and your music, and then you'll use that basically. Because this is for folks who your mix should be at the point where it doesn't actually need very much, which is why these are low down. Again, if you were producing something that was very basic, very stripped back, and you need, I would almost argue that if you need high intensity and if you need significant EQ from your master, you probably need to remix your project before you do something like this. Anyway, let's download this mastered track and see what this does. So when we hit the download button, it'll come over here, it'll generate our downloaded files. And what we'll do, we'll throw this into loudness penalty as well, so that we'll see if we were to release this, what it would do, what the platforms would do. If hopefully it'll get it to somewhere, considering that DistroKid well and truly know what places like Spotify are going to want, what they're going to be looking for. Hopefully they'll create a master that will be in the realm of not being turned up or down significantly. But we're about to find out. That is done now. So this is our low volume, trimmed, low, and it is good because it does actually show you here low intensity bright EQ. So if you're doing a bunch of them, you can stick them out here and then download them and see what they do. Now here's where you can either download it as Ultra HD, as high quality, or as medium quality. Now the reason that they have this is that some places legitimately won't let you release anything that's 24-bit. They want 16-bit 44.1. Thankfully, DistroKid isn't one of them, but if for whatever reason you were using this to master and then you were releasing with like a Muse, you'd need a 16-bit wave. Or if you were mastering for CD, which when was the last time anyone mastered for a CD? I don't know. But if you were doing it, you'd want that. Medium quality is obviously only if you were saying emailing it to someone or you want to just stick it on SoundCloud, you don't really care. But I don't really think of many reasons why you wouldn't want Ultra HD. Interestingly, it looks like it will convert it to 48 kilohertz. So we'll see if that has any impact on this. I don't know, I get nervous with iOS whenever I see something like that, but maybe it'll be fine. All right, let's download this sucker. Download it here. Did you know that Chrome supports downloading now in iOS? Pretty cool. It used to not. And as I say that, it's not going to work. No, there it goes. It's downloaded. So now we can actually open in from here and open directly in to Audio Share. There we go. Send it back over to Audio Share, and there it is. So not too bad. We'll do one in a minute, which is the intense one, and we'll see the sausage that it becomes. But that's not too bad. That's about how my masters will look if I use them, if I do them myself in GarageBand. You're clipping, you're getting up to that 0 dB, but you've got enough dynamic. And look, it's a punk song. You don't want big dips in here. You don't want a heap there, but you want a little bit of dynamic so that you're not losing the dynamics of the song completely. So let's take a listen, shall we?
Over me. Have a view of what might sing and what.
So my first thought is that I know it's punk and we need a little bit more of that treble heavy stuff, but I think the way we mixed it, we probably need it somewhere in the middle. So I might actually come back here and try it again. And again, we can do this. Now I don't think you can use that. I think you have to restart my mastered tracks. No, this is all my mastered tracks, so you can only download them from here. So I think you need to go new track and re-upload it, which is a bit of a bugger. It would be cooler if you could just jump in there and say, redo that one I just did, but I guess not. So we'll come back, where we go, where were we? One, Audio Share, and we'll use this low one, because I really don't think that high one's going to be worth it. We'll use this low one here. Yeah, and as Jade says quite correctly, level looks okay visually, but then again, you don't mix and you don't master with your eyes. So yeah, you don't just look at stuff, but it's kind of like looking at things can tell you where something's really wrong. So you can see, so looking can see when your red light comes on when you clip. Looking can see when your waveform is such a sausage that you know it's going to be like pumping up the top end. So it's not that it's going to tell you that it's right, but it will tell you when it's definitely wrong. Does that make sense? Yeah, hope so. All right, so we're generating that master source file again. So yeah, I guess my first bit of feedback with this would be, how cool would it be if you could just go back and redo it, which you can do in places like Lander and eMastered. So, but look, this may be something that DistroKid keep working on, and maybe you can just go back to it, because obviously it already done all of this one time. You should just be able to tweak the other settings, and then download that version rather than having to do this part again. That just seems a little bit of a time waster. But hey, when things start, they're not going to be perfect, and they'll be able to keep developing. That's the one thing you can say about DistroKid, is that they do try new things. They'll keep trying things, and they'll keep experimenting and iterating on what they've done before. So we'll wait for this to come up. Yeah, we'll have a look what loudness penalty thinks. And what I'm going to do with this one, because I'll redo it properly before with the low intensity medium, with just a little like in between the two on the EQ. But I want to see, just out of interest, I want to see if I just put the EQ in the middle and go high intensity, what that's actually going to look like. Because I think it could be interesting to try that over there. All right. Preparing preview. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, so I'm not going to complain about it taking 3 or 4 minutes to upload, master, and then generate your previews. It's totally fine. Oh, getting old. Yeah, and again, for those that do have questions, we'll do a little bit of Q&A here at the end. I know we're running way over time, but we did have a few questions that came through. So if you've got questions, now's the time to stick them in the chat. Just put Q or question in front of your comment, and I will get to those. We'll have a little chat ski before we finish up here. Because like I said, I was gonna do a show tomorrow, but I'm gonna have a day off instead. We're doing a double show today. One of those shows that are like double shows. So we'll go there, we'll do the high, and we'll put the EQ in the middle there, and we'll just download it. We won't even listen to it. Let's just download it straight away. So that's going to generate these download files. I'll just get rid of that last one. Yeah, so I kind of skipped over it, but you used to only be able to download in Safari, and it used to pee me off because I use Google Chrome for everything on my iPad except for downloading and uploading, and the latest version of Chrome has enabled that, or more likely, Apple have allowed or been forced to allow Chrome to allow downloads and uploads. So it's a convenient way. If you're like me and you love using Google Chrome, you can now download and upload directly from your Google Chrome on iOS. Sausage fest, yes. Sausage fest. All right, so, and again, you can see here we've got high intensity neutral EQ, and we're going to come here, we're going to download our Ultra HD and hit the download button. The one thing, a lot of websites, though, however, don't give you a progress bar. They just go and then they're done. So that's a bit different. So we'll go open in here. We will go audio share. That's more like it, right? So there's your sausage. Let's take a listen. Oh, Metallica, what have you done? All right. So we've now got the two versions there. So it's called, this one we've got, they both start with Mixea. So we've got Mixea, Low Bright HD SOS, low, yeah, lots. And then we've got that one. And you can see the difference. That's your low intensity, and that's your high intensity. Sausage fest. So we'll take these two tracks and we'll throw them into a very handy dandy website called Loudness Penalty. Now, Loudness Penalty is from what's his name? Ian Shepherd, and the developer, whose name I always forget. But Ian Shepherd is an advocate of dynamic range, and I am as well, because I think that a lot of modern music has lost all of its ability to have any sort of subtlety. It's just all, and look, Foo Fighters, I love you, Foo Fighters, but your songs are the same. Like, it is so intense that there's no dynamics. And the dynamics, by the way, you're loud and soft. And look, it doesn't mean that you need to, it's not the 70s. You don't need, those barely audible vocals and those big dips, but you need a little bit. You need a little bit of headroom there, don't you? All right, let's go in and select our files. We're going to go and choose a file. And we should be able to go over to audio share, which we can. So let's start with our low bright mix here, and then we're going to go to the high intensity one. So we'll bring this one in here. It's going to process the audio. Drum roll, please. Okay. Yeah. So it's still, even with the low intensity, it's still going to be turned down. And look, that's not too bad. Apple's always kind of a bit of an anomaly. Not too bad to be turned down 0.4 dB. Ideally, you want this around about nothing, so it's not going to be turning you down. But yeah, that's not the worst result. It's not as bad as I thought it could be. However, now we're going to try the other one. So let's do this again. We'll just reset, go back to the start, select a file. This time, we're going to choose the other file, which is the high intensity. Oh man, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, don't use high intensity, folks. So yeah, you can see there, and this is the problem. This is the problem that I see facing many producers when they make music. They make music and they make it really loud in the mix, and then they make the master really loud, and then they upload it, and then they share it on Spotify, and they're like, bruh, my mix sounds awful. It's all like pumpy and weird and soft and quiet and terrible. And I'm like, yeah, you made it too loud. He's like, but I wanted it loud. And I'm like, oh yes, but Grasshopper, sometimes to be loud, one must first be soft. Yeah. That's your, yes, as Jade says. Yeah. Not great. Not great. So you don't want it to be there. You don't want it to be up there and being turned down that much. And again, look, I'm not saying you never use the high intensity version, because you might need that. Say you had a really quiet vocal, or you had a really quiet track that you really needed to do. And again, my argument would be mix it better, like mix it a little bit higher, and then you don't need that level of intensity on your mastering. But yeah, it kind of comes back to my point. You don't want this. You don't want these numbers. So yeah. All right. So let's go back, because I reckon the other one that we had here was right in the zone, right in the ballpark. In fact, let's do one more. While we do a Q&A, in the background, we'll do one more here, because I want to actually, I think I was with Thomas originally where I thought that having that slight EQ boost on the high end would have been better, but I think it's actually given it too much. So I'm just going to try one more version here where we grab the original one. Where is it? Mixea? No, not Mixea. We don't want those ones. Imagine if I brought the intense mastered version in and then mastered it again. That could be a fun experiment, but not today. For another day. So we'll go the low volume trimmed, and we'll let that upload in the background. I'll throw something. I'll let it do it, and then I'll throw it in and download it. But we did have a few questions that came in, so let's just tackle some of these. So thank you again, everyone, for your kind well wishes for my birthday on the 1st of March. I am a Pisces, which means I like fish. No, apparently where it doesn't matter, because astrology is BS. But no, apparently people are like, oh, you're Pisces, that's why you're creative. I'm like, yeah, or I just like music. One of the two. All right. And by the way, I tagged these from earlier. Thomas says, I think part of it is experience, finding your own system and workflow for mixing, knowing what will work and what won't. That only comes with time. Exactly. And that's why I do these, not for you to follow along. For goodness sake, you could not follow that along, because it was everywhere. So you don't need to follow exactly what I do, but I would highly recommend that you just start doing it, and you'll explore, you'll experiment, you'll find out what works for you. And Russ agrees with that one. So Alan previously had a question. I used to be a guitarist, but I have lost the use of my right arm. How do I get guitar strumming into GarageBand for composing? Yeah, so into GarageBand iOS, you can use the autoplay feature, or you can use your left hand and actually strum directly into GarageBand. So I'll give you a really quick demo. It doesn't sound great, but it works okay for composing, and since that's the question that you had there. So if we just come in here, and I'll just grab a new song and go to the guitar. So if you go to the guitar here, it'll have all the chords here, and you can... It doesn't sound great, does it? Weirdly enough, it's easier to do arpeggios, like... You get my drift? So you only really need to use one finger. And the other thing you can do is use the autoplay to bring in some strumming patterns. And the other thing with autoplay is if you use 2 fingers to tap on there, you get a slightly different variation. You use 3 fingers to tap on there, you get a 3rd variation. So it's far from perfect. And look, there are other apps. There's Strummer, I think, if Jade's around. There's Strummer, and there's Riffer, and there's other things that you can use to automatically generate some stuff to bring in. You can use loops as well. GarageBand doesn't have a heap of good guitar loops, but if you use something like BandLab, or if you go to freesound.org, then yeah, there's a bunch of other sounds there too. So there's some cool ways to play some guitars if you don't have the, because yeah, I know a lot of folks have various different challenges, and you can still make music as long as you've got like a pinky finger or something. Russ showed me a video one time of a bloke that had very little mobility in use, and he was like using his nose and his tongue and getting around and creating amazing music. So where there's a will, there's a way. What is an acceptable level of overload? 60% yellow, okay. If not, clipping, no orange. Yeah. So, Rena's, if you're referring to when you're playing your song here in GarageBand, where do you want it to be? Let's come back over here to my iPad. I used to, the biggest mistake I see a lot of people make is that, their levels are way up here. Their levels are nuts. And you'll notice here that even in the loudest part, like even in this final chorus of this song, nobody knows what. It's all the way down here. Now, the reason it's down there is because I'm using this FX trick. But if I turned this off, so if I turn off the FX there, it's terrible, right? So you need to either make sure your track levels are low, which it keeps you around there, or you need to turn off, to turn on that FX trick to reduce your volume. But if you have it all the way up there and then you try and export it, that's where you get the problems, where you get the auto limiting and you get that pumping at the top end. So I keep everything, 50 to 70%, 70% as a stretch up towards the top. That's my view on that one. I'll just come back to the live chat and make sure I'm not missing anything. Once again, if you've got any final questions, do throw them in here. Just put question or Q in front of your question. Happy to answer anything you got. Can I ask what you use to do your live stream? Yeah. So, what I used to do my live stream is apparently terrible internet because it has just dropped down. Let's just come back to my webcam for a sec. We're finishing off here. It's about every hour on the hour, isn't it? It's almost like at 10:30 and then at 11:30 a.m. It's like, let's turn Johns into a robot for about a minute and drop it all off. I don't know what that would be. Is that when all the people sitting around the area are resetting their Netflix and getting their next show ready to watch? Is it the Netflix and chillers? It's the middle of the day, people. No, I don't know. But it does happen fairly regularly. All right, see you later, Mark. Yeah, we're doing a couple of things to finish off. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to jump out of the stream and jump on back in. So please bear with me a second, and we'll see if we can get this looking a little better. And we're back. All right. So, yeah, that seems to be working okay now. So weird. So bizarre. Maybe I need to reboot everything. I'm just going to turn everything off and on after this stream. So what was my point? Yeah. So what I use that works so well. Yeah, I use StreamYard, which is the software that I use here that allows me to do things like throw your comments up on the screen like that. I use OBS, which sits in the background and allows me to switch between sources. So I'll show you by bringing it up here. This is going to get a bit weird and Doctor Who-y, but if we go to the screen there, see I've got this OBS here. I've got the webcam only button there. I've got the screen button. I can do my iPad, which brings it up there. So I use OBS to control that, and I've got my iPad plugged in via an HDMI to USB adapter. Just buy the cheap ones on eBay or Amazon, $20. They do the job a lot better, and they don't care about the iOS encryption, so you can use that. And that's it. And then I just stream out to YouTube, to Facebook, to all the places. Can you stem out the mix, or do you have to solo each track? You have to solo each track. Yeah, unfortunately, I have a video about exporting stems. So if you want to check that out, just search my name, Pete Johns Stems, and you'll find a video about how to export your tracks as stems in GarageBand. But yeah, you basically have to do exactly what you think you have to do, which is go into each and every track, solo it, go out of the track, export it, come back in, solo the next track, go out of it, export it, etc. Rinse, repeat. So yeah, I'm sorry for that. And the mix down to MP3 or M4A, yeah, just you can. I showed you before how to do M4A. MP3, you'll need to use something like Voice Record 7 or File Converter to do that mix. So there you go. Alrighty, I'm hopefully still working here because everything's gone a bit haywire. But yeah, it looks like all my old green lights here on at the moment. All right, let's look at this final master that we did, because we're well over 2 hours. So I'm going to turn into a pumpkin at any moment. So I'm just going to jump back into Chrome where it's preparing our preview. Oh, it didn't want to do that while I wasn't on the page, apparently. I didn't do it in the background. Alrighty. Yeah, even I know Logic has good stem exports, but yeah, even GarageBand Mac doesn't have the ability to export the stems. Which is so sad. I'm getting all choked up. No, I forgot to bring more water. Oh, wait. Success. More water. Alright, so let's see. Eventually, drum roll, how this track is going to look, and more importantly, how it's going to sound here. So this is the one where we selected the low intensity but the medium EQ, which is really just going to be adding limiting at the end of the day. So I could probably have done this in GarageBand. It's also taken an awful long time to generate this preview, just quietly. So it might have been, because I put it in the background for all that time, it might not be super happy with me and the way that I'm doing this. How long do we wait? Not much longer. I'll go back to I'll hit my master tracks here and see. Yeah, that's low volume trim. Oh, is it going to make me do it again? I think it is. It is. So I'm going to do it again here. So there you go. There's a new tip. Every time you do something here, you learn something new, right? So there's a tip. Don't go and do something else in the background while you're doing this process for your mastering, because it'll cause problems. So I won't go out of that, but I will just jump back over here to my notes and make sure that we have indeed covered off. I didn't miss anything that we hadn't done. So we did all these things. We got the ping pong on the oh yeah. We've saturated the box with some tape saturation. We've added more. You know what I did? I don't think I did the double on the final chorus, but that's okay because we had louder vocals in the final chorus. We'll check that out in a minute. It's got to the generating master file. The cymbals weren't standing out to me again, so I think that little bit of reduction on the EQ worked. The oh yeah, I like that now. Thank you, Thomas, for the delay on the last word. Yeah, I think that worked better than oh yeah. It was better. Let's reverb on the solo. So the solo is louder and more up front now. Jade's backing vocals are more up front. The bass, we've made that cut through the mix a lot more as well. So I think all the mix notes that we had there, we've done something with, and we're good to go. All right, the mastering is now telling me that it is at 100%, so this is looking a little bit more like what we want to see. Oh, no, that's right. It was a preview. It was this bit last time that was doing the wrong thing. G'day, Con. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having your lunch break. Got sent home from work early due to low volume. Oh, mate. See, whenever I hear due to low volume, I think about mixing and mastering because my head's in the music space. So I'm like, you got sent home due to low volume. Oh, you mean low volume of work, not the volume of your music. Well, there you go. Now you can spend some time making some music, mate. So there's silver linings to all the clouds, I say. Every cloud has a silver lining. Now we got to 94. There we go. That's better. So we're now here and we can do it. Turn it up. What? All right. So hopefully this one is going to be right in the sweet spot if we go low intensity, medium EQ. So here's the OG and this is what it sounds like. The mastered version. Yeah, I reckon that's going to be the betterest one. So we're going to download the mastered track. It's going to generate our download files. I do like this, though, that it stores these. So one of the benefits of this is it's storing my masters each time I do them over here. So it means I can come back and have access to these at a later stage when I may need them. So that is a good deal. Good deal, man. So we'll do this. We'll have a look at a listen to this, and then I reckon we're pretty good. I reckon we're about where we need to be. Crank it up. Turn it loud. Just putting something on DistroKid. Yeah, well, DistroKid are cool. They keep coming to the party with all these new features, and I think it's awesome. Like, why not? Why not have more options? You don't have to use them all, but more options is good. So let's download this as Ultra HD. Hit the download button here. We'll send it back on over to Audio Share. And we'll take a look. And I reckon this is going to be right in the sweet spot. All right, open it in, and we'll open it in our Audio Share. There's that app, by the way. There's Voice Record 7 and File Converter. So if you did want to convert this to MP3, as our friend before was asking, that's where you'd send it. But we're going to send it back to Audio Share, and there it is. So it looks very similar to the last one we did, but it's just going to have a little bit less in the way of brightness in the EQ. So drum roll, please. Let's take a listen.
Washing over me. Have a view of what might sting and what those circling shots will bring.
Pretty cool, yeah. Let's listen to the final chorus and just make sure that it's still sticking there nicely.
Nobody knows who's gonna win, so I'm gonna just keep on rolling, even though I
yeah. All right. One final thing. Let's turn this one over to loudness penalty. No, not Safari. We'll come back to loudness penalty and let's try this final master and see if this is going to do our thing. All right. So we'll select our file again this time. Choose our file. Go back to Audio Share, and this is our most recent one. So we're going to tap on this one. It's going to process the audio, and let's see where it is. Yeah, there you go. Even more in the zone. So the last version, it was turning down by 0.4. Now it's turning it down by 0.3. So that's pretty close. You're not going to get much better than that. You can tweak and twiddle for a long time. And Apple, look, Apple's just a crybaby, let's be honest. They just turn it down more because I don't know. So yeah, that's pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with that. That's a good result, both audibly and visually. I think it's working across the board. So I will listen to this. I'll listen to the final mix, the final master. There may be some tweaks that happen in the next couple of days, but yeah, we're pretty close. I think that I'm happy with the mix, and it's a punk song, so we definitely don't want to overdo it. Right? We don't want to overdo the thing. Maybe, yeah, look, Apple are all about protecting your health and well-being, aren't they? For sure. Alrighty, that is going to do it for this episode of GarageBand Weekly and for this series. Oh, but yeah, do not fear, because we will be back next week on GarageBand Weekly. We will have a whole new project kicking off on next week's show. It's March. It's a new month. It's going to be a new project. That's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to have to tune in and find out what that's all about, because I've asked a lot of folks I know and trust, and a lot of people that dig this show, and they've said, yeah, keep doing these things. Like, we'll still do the news and notes and the tips and things, but people said, yeah, these practical demonstrations are helpful, and they help inspire, and they help give you a little bit of extra information. So we're going to keep doing it. We'll keep doing it. All right, that is going to do it for this one. Again, thank you for the birthday wishes. It is my birthday tomorrow. Was going to do a show, but I've just decided to, again, we did a big, giant show here today. So I've decided that I'm going to take the day off. I'll be hanging around, though, I'm sure, round about the community. And we've got some other videos coming out in the next couple of days, too. And then we're back for another big weekend where we're going to be doing Your Music Live, the happy hour. Got my wife on the podcast this week, which is going to be fun. We're going to be talking about music stuff about music and musicians and songwriters that you might not know. So interesting facts. And Georgie's done the research. She's like a web content developer, so she's good at pulling together research and information. So I don't know any of the stuff that she's got. She's going to lay it on me, and yeah, we're going to be chatting about. I'm going to be learning. She's going to learn me a lot of stuff about music, because people say to me like, "Oh, you must really love Bob Dylan." I'm like, couldn't name one of his songs. And people are shocked, I say. So I'm going to educate myself there. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Thomas Christ, Gary Hubbs, Ronald M. Jade, Star. Yes, you'll have to rewatch 2.5 hours. Good luck. Thank you, mate. Thank you to Thomas. Thank you, Mix Club. Thank you, Con. Appreciate you. Yeah, we'll be marching on in to March. And Gary Hubbs comes in for the last minute. So a lot of people, like we say, people are drive-by. Hubs is like the guy that comes in at the party, at the end of the party, and it just says, "Hey, people." Everyone's like, "Ah!" He's like, "Okay, gotta go." You're like the norm. Gary. All right, that is definitely going to do it now, folks. So please, as we say at the end of every show, be kind to yourself this week. Be kind to others. Keep creating. And why don't we go out with a little listen? We'll go out with a full playthrough of this mastered version of my new song called Sink or Swim. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you real soon.
Panic washing over me. Have a view of what might sting and what those circling sharks will bring. Maybe I'll be safer on the shore, 'cause I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know if I'll sink or swim. Talking as on the news today, telling me what to think and say. Some people won't come back from down below. On reflection, my memories are always making a fool of me, but I'm learning to ebb and flow with the tide, 'cause I don't know what's in the water, and I don't know if I can win. There might be more under the surface, but it's time to dive in. Oh yeah! Cause I don't know what's in the water,
My favourite bit there, Jade.
and I don't know if I can win. There might be more under the surface, but it's time to dive in. Nobody knows what's in the water. Nobody knows who's gonna win. So I'm gonna just
Later.